Welcome to the Wealth Ninja podcast, and today we have a very special guest in the studio, Owen Poland. And Owen, welcome to the studio, and thank you for coming.
Welcome, Don.
And today I thought that I'm going to tell my story through you instead of me telling the story. So, please.
Well, we met quite a long time ago, back in about 2006, when you were quite famous then, when you got onto the rich list and you were buying racehorses. And as a business journalist, I was very interested in your story. And so now I have an opportunity to dig a bit deeper.
And I remember you went to my horse farm in Pukekohe there, and we did an article.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to start this conversation, Don, by winding the clock back to 1980 when your family first arrived here as refugees from Vietnam. Can you recall what you were like back then as a youngster, and maybe what you were thinking about your future life here in New Zealand?
Well, when we first came in 1980, we stayed in a refugee camp in Mangui. And I used to work the Massey Road in that block of shops all the time and get some lollies from the shop. We didn't have any money, but the shop owner gave us money. And then we moved to Otara. We stayed in a 4-bedroom house. There were 8 of us, one shower over the bath. And I always knew I was the last one to have a shower, and it's always run out of hot water. Yeah, so bring it up in Otara, knowing all the kids in Otara, grow up with them, learn all the swear words first. That was the best part of my bringing up.
Did you have any thoughts about where life was going to take you then?
Well, when I went to school, no, being wealthy or being successful was not part of my upbringing. My father only wanted us to go to work hard, respect the system, make the money, give it to him, he'll save up, buy us a house, and that was our future. But yeah, until I took up martial arts and I met some very nice Kiwi people here, and they taught me how to become positive, and that's when my world changed.
So, I mean, you went to school in South Auckland, and when you left, you worked in your father's bakery, but you eventually decided to follow a career in real estate. Now, I wonder, why was that? Was there a light bulb moment or something when you thought, I'm going to sell real estate and make a fortune?
Well, as I was growing up, I had flea markets, stores in Otara, and being a young person, you got these little tables and selling some sweatshirts and some other stuff. And then the guy next to you got a bigger store with a tent. And that's when it begins your inspiration to become bigger and to become more prominent in business. And I realized being in the family bakery was it doesn't matter how many hours you work, your incomes are fixed. Some week it goes up by 10%, some week it goes down by 10%. So when a real estate agent came into my shop and he said, I just sold a house today, and I said, how much money you make? He said, 12,000. And at that moment I realized that if I can sell 2 houses a year, I can take 6 months off work because my baker was only paying 12,000 a year at that time. So I was so inspired to become an agent, and that's when my moment changed.
So you started out selling houses in 1994, and you won a Rookie of the Year title for selling 86 houses in your first year. 86. Was that beginner's luck?
Wow, I didn't know it was beginner's luck, or I didn't know it was luck, or I didn't know that was abnormal, because the average real estate agents only sell 0.7 house per month now in New Zealand stats. So to be brand new and sell 86 properties in my first year, and more importantly, the earning power was, my ambition was to earn only 30,000 a year, because that's how much I was making in a bakery. And my first year, I earned 220,000. That was the moment that the light bulb just turned on and say, hey, look, you can't be brainwashed that you can be programmed to earn this much, go to work hard, and forever earning 30,000, 50,000. That moment changed. I realized that your mind and people's support can achieve anything.
You received a lot of industry recognition, especially in the period from 2001 to 2006 for excellence in real estate and for leadership. What was the secret to your success back then?
Well, firstly, when I worked 80 hours in the bakery, I just applied the 80 hours in real estate. And there's no magical solution to that. If you hard work, you work hard, you persist, and you make mistakes, and you meet people, and if anyone can do it if they apply the same principle, 80 hours a week work, but can anyone apply 80 hours work? When I talk 80 hours at work, I'm talking about 30 minutes for lunch, 15 minutes for morning tea, afternoon tea. Every other hour is work. It's that simple.
You've been described, though, as having strong negotiation skills and a real passion for real estate and business. So what is your skill set other than hard work, putting in the hard yards?
My skill set is knowing what the customer wants, knowing what the vendor wants, know about their incomes, know about finance, know about their future, know about their structures, and know how to plan their program out so that they can meet their target on saving, how to get their first home, how to get a second home, and how to get a third home. So I guess every day real estate agent, you walk in, you can't buy a house, that's it, that's end of you. But if you're coming to see me, you can't buy a house, I'll put you in a savings program, I help you get jobs, and I help you to get rid of your debts, and then 12 months later, you have a house. And based on that, the referrals just keep on coming.
So you're talking about customised solutions for people.
Correct, yes. Customer-sized solution is exactly what, plan their future out, but immediately their first goal is to get their one house.
Yep. You're also very ambitious. Is it true that you decided at the age of 17 that you wanted to be on the NBR Rich List?
Yes, well, when I was selling houses, the rich list then was 10 million to be on it. And at that time, I started to have 5 million, 6 million properties. And I said, I can reach this goal. You know, like I think John Norma was even on the list at the time at 10 million. And some other people, I said, I can get to this point. And being the second youngest in the family, I wanted to be the richest person in the family. And that was my ultimate ambition, was to be on the rich list.
And then, of course, you did make it onto the rich list, and I happen to have in my filing cabinet a copy of the 2006 rich list where you first appeared with a fortune that was estimated at $60 million. Now, I happen to know that rich list valuations involve a lot of guesswork.
Yeah.
Were you really worth $60 million back then?
I'd say probably worth more with the amount of property that I own. And it was overwhelming because don't forget, when you own so much properties, when the property peak comes in, it could double in value in the space of 3 years. And for a period of time, it didn't do anything. But for 12 months, 18 months, the valuation of the property that you own just exploded. And now we always wonder how the rich get richer. Whenever we saw a rich list issue, all of a sudden, how did that guy increase by 100 million of wealth within 12 months? That's exactly how it happened.
You were getting a lot of media attention back then because of your success, and we referred to me meeting you for the first time as a TV journalist, and you were also spending a lot of money on thoroughbreds, including $2 million for one horse. I mean, is it fair to say that you probably thought then that you were invincible?
Well, I was. I thought that when you're young, you grow up and you make all this money, and making money through property was easy. And it got a bit boring after so many years of just buying properties, put a tenant in, build them up, sell them, build them, sell them. So I thought there must be another way of making money. So I got introduced into the horses, where they say you can buy a horse for 500, sell it for $1 million. You bought a horse for 35,000, can be worth $5 million if it goes to the stud. So I thought this was easier than making money through horses instead of property. How you can buy a yearling, and then when it's get to the ready to run, you sell it again, double your money. And I just thought, wow, I'm going to get into this because I got the wealth to do this, and that's where I went.
So nobody told you that only 10% of racehorses ever return their cost on the racetrack. Did nobody tell you that the failure rate's massive?
Well, they only tell you how much money you can make through the good ones. And I got to be honest, when firstly you go into an industry where you don't know, firstly when we were refugees and somebody come into our shop and say, I'm a horse trainer, automatically your mind goes like, wow, this guy's so rich. But you don't know that horse trainer is actually not rich, but because it's involved horse, you think it's so rich. So when you don't know that category of investment, and you get introduced to somebody who's training all these champions, and they say, you go and buy that horse for 500,000. Well, naturally, when you're a new boy in the block, you want to impress these guys, don't you? So you buy based on trust. You said, okay, I'll go and buy it.
Of course, as it turned out, many of the horses that you bought were no good. And around the same time, your property empire slowly but surely started to fall apart and led to a number of receiverships in
Yes.
2011. How did you feel about that?
Well, I didn't just buy one horse. I went after that and bought 43 horses and owned them outright, no shares. I didn't know you can have syndication in horses. So I bought a farm, and when I bought the farm, they told me I should buy a farm for my horse. I didn't know I had to build horse boxes, fencing, raceways, and then after that they said, you got to buy a horse truck. I said, what for? You got to truck your horse to the racetrack. You got to have a farm manager, track riders, and a whole lot of other thing that goes with it. So when the GFC hits, and having a horse operation that costs like $180,000 a month to run, which is more than the company would cost, and also I have a lot of property that was built and people didn't settle, house was unfinished, and the interest rate went from 6% to 12%. We used to sell 100 houses a month. We sold 10 houses a month. So naturally, all of that just falls down like a stack of cards. And when the company went to receivership, at that moment, I gotta say, in 1980, we come here as a refugee. You feel like you're a refugee again at that moment. It felt terrible. But I knew I always have the power to make a comeback.
Could you believe at that time it took 12 years to build up that empire, and then, 3 years for it to virtually disappear?
Well, yes, it was hard, but I also look at it as a positive part as well, because there were multi-billionaires that will lose all their wealth. There were higher people above me, had hundreds of millions that lose, like even banks lose all their money, finance company lose all their money. And I thought the positive part come out of it was, okay, I learned a lesson from it, but more importantly, it gave me a clean slate, meaning people ahead of me were at the same level as me. So there were many of the high power people that were more successful than me. We all fall in the same category, including banks and financial institutions. So I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity now. The guy that ahead of me is now in the same position as me. So I now got my true ability to race against them and to get ahead of them, because if it didn't happen, they were way ahead of me.
You mentioned the GFC, and obviously there was an economic downturn globally, which contributed to your collapse at the time, but you also had a lot of debt. So how much responsibility do you accept for being in that position?
Well, at that moment, the debt was mainly between the bank and myself, but as a creditors, we don't have creditors' debts as much at all, like many other company would have. And when that moment comes, when you have your own house, your cars, you got to hand your car back. My $6 million mansion went to mortgagee sale. It was totally out of control. When you're out of control in that sense, no matter of how much money you have or how much staff money will want to lend you, or family can rescue you out of that moment, because the interest rate was so high, the property value went to half. So basically, you just have to mortgage sell everything to pay back the debts.
And then, of course, the final blow in 2012, you declared bankrupt.
Yes, well, I went to compromise with creditor compromise, but I learned a lesson there that I was young, I was arrogant, I was fighting against all financial institutions. We offer great compromise creditor settlement higher than anybody else, but along the way you upset them. Well, if you upset them, they just don't want to work with you. So that's a lesson learned for a lot of people out there right now. I see a lot of young financial entrepreneurs come through my office dealing with me. They talk the same language I would have talked 2006, 2007. Today I advise them, hey, look, work with the bank. Don't work against them, work with them, because they got the higher power than you don't have.
But far from being down and out, though, you decided back then, 2011-12, that you were going to stage a comeback. Where did that determination come from?
Because I had the ability of the know-how, I had the recipe of success the recipe doesn't change. The learning lesson was change, meaning stick to what you know best, and only stick to what you know best. Stick to the properties, stick to selling, stick to advise people on investment properties, and if you keep on doing that one thing and you stick at it, it's the same as when I first started. I stick to the one thing, sold 86 houses. And then the property market grew itself out of the GFC, probably started rising and keep on rising, and demands are coming back. Probably was like returning back to it was more than was in its peak in 2007. I call it the perfect storm. When the perfect storm arrives, I know exactly what to do. I'm not going to sit around and wait just to work 40 hours a week. No, I work 100 hours a week, even more and more. And that was the perfect storm.
Of course, you were fortunate that you were able to continue selling real estate, and that laid the foundation for the future. You've described yourself as the king of the comeback. You're now in control of a property portfolio worth more than $1 billion, including some large residential projects in Auckland and Queenstown. How would you compare where you are now to where you were a decade ago?
Well, it's actually no comparison, because 10 years ago, I would carry only maybe 40 million of properties as a whole company. Today, carrying over $1 billion of portfolio around the country, and each one of these property developments are worth around 100 million, 50 million to $1 billion even, and be able to advise the head of the company of these companies on design, marketing, how to sell the end product. Sit in the boardroom table. 10 years ago, I wouldn't even make it to the boardroom. So through sheer experience and result driven, and that's all developer want is result driven. And now I'm able to advise all of these companies. It's overwhelming, to be honest.
Of course, it's not all just about Don Ha, is it? I mean, you've got a large and diverse team behind you. How important is that diversity?
It's so important, because now we deal with all race. Now we deal with a lot of other people, and having the people in your company that speak different languages. In fact, we speak 12 different languages in our company. But more importantly, the loyalty of the staff. Even when I went through my receivership stage, they all stay with me. Some of them are with me now for like 20 years, 18 years, 15 years, 10 years. They all become multi-millionaires through my advice, during their work period with me, and they stuck by me. And I'm so grateful to have such a team that do or die, they stick by you. That's the power of the team, and without that, you have nothing.
And in 2018, you merged your real estate business with the global giant Remax to create Remax Revolution. What's the thinking there?
Well, Remax Revolution is exactly, we call it Revolution because we want to create a new revolution. And when I was Don Ha independent, I was outgrowing myself as a brand. And I decided to join Remax because Remax can take me to the world. You know, they're the number one franchise in the world. They're the biggest in the world, over 125,000 agents, over 100 countries. So I want to compete on the global stage. That's the reason why I want to join Remax.
How do you plan to do that? I mean, when you say compete on the global stage, what do you mean by that?
Well, when you attend conference in Australia and New Zealand, you hear the best of the best speak on the world stage about their results. And when I was sitting in the audience, I said, my results are far better than these best of the best. But no one is going to come to me and say, hey, Don Ha, you're on your own. Can we recognize you're the best of the best? So when you compare Remax worldwide, which is the biggest franchise against all, and your results is calculated by the number of sales, money, the number of commission you earn for yourself and for your team, then you compare that against the rest of the world. And recent 6 months, we come number 2 in the world for Asia Pacific and India. We received the award on stage.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You've had instant success as the top New Zealand office and the number 2 achiever in the Asia Pacific region. That must be very satisfying.
Well, winning is a habit. That's just my bringing up. Winning is a habit. My mentality, mine is winning is a habit. But getting to the top in anything is also a habit. Getting to the top of Remax in such a short period of time is just instant recognition worldwide. I mean, I was a guest speaker in India and South Korea. I spoke over now 50 countries attending, and having people queue up for 30 minutes to get advice from me when I finish speaking, it's just like, you feel like you're a superstar, but when you're back in the Auckland here, you just don't have.
So how do you measure success? Is it the Range Rover and the Ferrari that you drive, or is it the $7 million mansion in St Heliers? What gives you the greatest satisfaction?
The greatest satisfaction for me is firstly family, be able to, well, actually, yeah, when I wind back the clock, when I firstly lose my $6 million mansion in Whitford, and that was the hardest thing because I had a trampoline and also a playground for my kids, and they didn't get it, and I had to go and become a tenant on top of that for 12 months. And obviously, when you become a tenant, you can't have a trampoline, you can't have a playground, you got to you got to live by certain rules of the landlord. In fact, that was the first time ever in this country I'm actually a tenant. When you become a tenant, even you have a little dog, you can't have a dog, and that was pretty hard. But the landlord was good enough to let me become a tenant because they met my family and they were kind to me. But when I bought my house back, when I bought my first house back, was the first thing I bought was a trampoline and a playground to provide for your kids, which is what they miss, and I equally miss providing for them. And success, firstly, to provide for your family security, and then secondly, it'll be to the staff that work, because they are the one that create your success. And then thirdly, after that, is to all the customers, the vendor, the purchasers. In fact, I create so many millionaires now, and every day I go to work, I can't wait to work because the demand for my service, getting the results, and getting a thank you, and be able to now donate to charity on top of that. That's a true measure of success, is to have a job that you don't call it a job. You can't wait to get to work every day. That is a measure of success.
You've been a mentor and a motivational speaker for thousands of people at investment seminars. What drives you to want to share your story and your experiences with others?
I met a man ages ago, and he said, "Don, we are successful, but we can't teach people like you do. If you are successful and you can teach people, you owe it to the people to teach them, because even we want to, we can't. We don't have your talents." And even in my first year in real estate, I met this old woman. She was a fortune teller, and she said, "One day you'll be teaching people, you'll be coaching people, you'll be writing books." At that moment, I couldn't believe her. But I guess be able to make a point of difference to people, and I do make a point of difference to a lot of people, change a lot of people's life, and be able to see a family that I mentored, for example, in 1995, from a first house of 75,000. After 7 years, they own like 9 properties, and after that, this guy basically worked for McDonald's because he can use those properties. Today, he's on 3 McDonald's, employing 155 staff, and in fact, he's meeting one of our staff today. His daughter is now 26. That is the reason.
You recently delivered a keynote address to a Remax convention in New Delhi, and the address was titled "Think Bigger."
Yes.
What was the key message there?
The key message is because naturally when you talk to people in India and that part of the country, there's 1.3 billion of people, and poverty and success are miles apart. And I've been in that situation. I've been in that situation, and my message was to be able to inspire them that, hey, you don't have to be there, you don't have to think like that just because somebody say that you have to belong to that category. Look at me, I can make it. If I can make it, you can make it, because you just got to have self-belief. So my message was to encourage everyone that they can achieve what they want to achieve if they believe in themselves, and just go and try it one day at a time until they get there.
And now you're about to launch Wealth Ninja. So tell me about that. What can people expect from Wealth Ninja?
Well, yeah, Wealth Ninja is an interesting title, and we want to call it Wealth Ninja because we believe we are the ninjas in this field. Wealth Ninja is not only provide you with the education, the structures, the advice, firstly on investments, on wealth creation, but more importantly, it also provide you advice on your own business, how you can grow your business, any field your business, provide the network, the social medias, and the interaction with a lot of higher power people that you might not meet. So it's a full all-round provider, Wealth Ninja. You come to us, you got problem with employment issues, staff issues, court hearing issues. We have the expertise and the connection that we can refer you to certain area that will shortcut your process. And that's why we call it the Ninja. The Ninja is about getting you to the point.
This is getting away from your core business as selling real estate, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but the education of it is relating back to exactly what the business is. It's about creating wealth for people. It's about growing their business. And as they grow their business, well, they got to invest back into property. So the property part comes secondary, but the business advice part comes first.
Can you understand why some people might think you're obsessed with wealth?
Well, I think you can't deny that I am obsessed. I only know wealth. And people ask me, what do you do for sport? I said, wealth. What do you do for hobby? Wealth. And what do you do in your spare time? Read more wealth. So if you want to become successful and wealthy, you come to the Wealth Ninja because I'm a 24/7 wealth obsessed guy. I spend my time with my family in my spare time, but other than that, 24/7, I can tell you all about properties. I can tell you all about developments. I can tell you anything to do with the economy and new sectors. I mean, my life is quite boring, to be honest. That's all I study. So if you want to get there, you come to someone who spent their entire life on studying wealth.
Do you buy into the current thinking that if you really want to engage with consumers, you have to put purpose before profit? Do you have a purpose, or is it all about profit?
No, our first and foremost priority is about the purpose. If the product is not right for the client, we don't recommend it by any means. We have people that offer us far more money to sell their products. We don't believe in it. We don't even go near it. So firstly, the purpose, it must be suitable for the client. If it comes to a family home, the home must be suitable. If there's certain things wrong with the house, such as like, okay, the cladding might be wrong, there's a crack in the ceiling or something that we are aware of, no, we do not recommend it, and we will point it out. In fact, we'll refuse even to sell it for that sake. And some other developer will come to us, the property is maybe worth 500, they want us to sell for 580, no, we won't sell it. So our purpose is our first priority for whatever the client wants in that case.
What about philanthropy? How do you support your local community?
Well, that is actually quite a big thing because once you make a lot of money, the responsibility for the community comes, I don't know, it doesn't come because you want to buy fame or because you want to buy respect. It comes within. You know, like a lot of people have a lot more money than me, but I've seen at certain charities, they donate $100, where myself, we sponsor Franklin United soccer team. You know, this is coming our third year. This morning I just been to New Zealand Cancer, hand over a check for $31,000 to them for our fundraising event, and we've been fundraising now for the past 3 years for a variety of charities. So on an annual basis, we donate a lot of our time, and I don't know, you call it a lot of money, but you know, I know that I donate a lot more money than a lot of people do. It comes with it naturally that you do it because you owe it to your community that they help build you, they help you to recover of your troublesome times, and you'll be able to do that and give back. It's got to come within the person. You can't just demand it. It's got to come within.
Your real estate websites refer to the importance of honesty and integrity. Do you consider yourself an ethical person, someone who's fair and honest?
100%, yes. Yeah. I don't think that during my 26 period in real estate, for the amount of sales that I do, for what I achieve, you can Google me up and you can see any complaints about me. Well, there are not more than one person that will complain about me.
The reason I ask that is that the real estate authority brought a case of unsatisfactory conduct against you, didn't they?
Yes.
Relating to a property sale back in 2012 when it was under a sole agency. How do you explain that?
Well, that's an interesting case. I explained that in two ways. One is betrayal. My vendor betrayed me, meaning that I sold a property for him. I got a good price for him, and he even paid me extra commission for my achievement. And when he had a claim against him to pay back the commission to the other agency, under the residential listing current law, you can terminate your agency within 90 days. If you list it for more than 90 days, you can get an instant cancellation. So based on his property, it was a residential development. I told him to seek advice through the REAA to say that can you cancel because this listing is for 6 months. They sent him the email back saying, yes, you can cancel. He went through his lawyer, yes, you can cancel. Based on that, I proceeded to list the property and sold it. Now, if I sold it at the time and the claim was coming in for the commission that I have to pay back within a month or two, then I would realize, okay, what's wrong here? But a year later, the claim came in because the opposition decided to take a cheap shot at me. So I guess through technicality, they win the case. I appealed the case twice, and I would have appealed again, but I decided my time and money and the stress that I go through, it was not worth it. But the truth of it is, if you go ask any agency right now, can you terminate a residential tenancy listing if it was listed more than 90 days? 1,000 out of 1,000 will say yes. So I only follow what the law tells me to do, but technicality advice, and whatever happens, well, they find me that I was guilty of that sector, but I done my job, the property settled, the vendor got his money, he was able to buy a house to retire down the line somewhere, and I call that betrayal of trust. And you got to put up with that no matter what you do in life. You're going to upset someone, you'll get something wrong, and that betrayal of trust hurts more than what it is.
You're quite a controversial person, aren't you? You seem to ruffle feathers here and there. Does that sort of just come with the territory?
Well, I don't know how the hell is it that I always make headline, like I bought a house and sent here, I make the headline. Mm-hmm. I guess it comes with it. Like, I remember the Government General Satir Allen. I read an article about him. He said that when I become a public person, 80% of the people will love me, but 20% of the people will always hate me, have something to criticize about me. And I guess for any high-profile person, that just comes with part of it. And can you put up with it? Well, right now, you look at our current Prime Minister right now, they got this, sexual allegation against one of their staff and so many other cases going on. But if you look at myself right now, what have I got going against me? Well, I'm pretty sure I can put up with 1% of it.
So what does the future hold for Don Ha? You've just turned 50. What makes you get up in the morning? Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Do you still have an ambition to get back onto the NBR Rich List and maybe even own some horses?
Well, I definitely have the ambition to go back to the NBR Rich List, but no ambition for owning race horses. Learn a lesson from there. And also they have great friends around me, not as much. When 2007, I would have 500 friends. Nowadays, I think I just have a handful of good friends that I can trust. But more importantly, my future is to create communities, because I can be able to get involved in housing development, high rises around the country and even around the world. even now Australia is demanding for my ability to come and help them to sell their product. So as I drive past certain cities, I see building going up. That is the job satisfaction, because each building goes up, I create 150 subcontractors working inside it. So the respect of that part is overwhelming. And when you see 2 buildings go in Manukau right now, 162 apartments and 130 apartments, because of your ability, you create the iconic building firstly, but you create that employment for everybody within that building for the past 2 or 3 years. It's something is pretty hard for someone to create or get involved in, but I have that ability, so I'm just continue want to create all of these changes of landscapes of real estate around the country.
Well, I look forward to following your fortune in the years to come, Don. Thanks for the opportunity to have a chat.
Thanks, Owen. It's been a great time for you to for me to tell my story through your voice.
You're welcome.
Thanks.